Chris Mannix for the crossover alongside Rowan Ned Carney and Howard Beck. Guys, the second half of the season is set to get underway. A lot of players and teams with some pressure on them over these final few months. Rohan, who stands out to you?
Chris, I would like to see more from the New Orleans Pelicans in the second half of the season here. I don't know if pressure is maybe the exact right word, but they haven't met my expectations. 6 games under 500 as we come out of the All-Star break here at 15-21. There's talent on this team. I mean, Zion Williamson's already one of the best scorers in the NBA. Brandon Ingram's coming off an All-Star year. His numbers are right there where they were last year. Lonzo Ball is having a good season. Josh Hart has shown to be a capable rotation player. They just have not seemed to find the right lineup combinations. You know, Stan Van Gundy, I hold him in very high regard as a coach, but I'm a little bit surprised at how much he struggled finding to get a coherent rotation together here. So I'd like to see a lot more from the New Orleans Pelicans in the second half.
Yeah, another team that has not met expectations and definitely feeling pressure in the second half would be the Atlanta Hawks. How do we know that? Well, they already fired their coach, Lloyd Pierce, and so now that pressure shifts slightly to Nate McMillan as the interim coach, who surely wants that job full time, but also to this front office. The front office, of course, that hired Lloyd Pierce and that put this roster together. That would be GM Travis Schlenk. He's been there for 4 seasons, and on the whole, I think Travis has done a great job. But he spent $160 million in the offseason on free agents: Chris Dunn, Danilo Gallinari, Rajon Rondo, Bogdanovich. We've seen very little of all of them because of injuries. And, look, once things start to go the wrong direction, you start thinking about, well, how is that Luka Trae Young swap looking to ownership a couple years in? How is the overall picture looking? And this is a group that wanted and expected playoffs this season, and the bar is low. You can make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference right now with a losing record. So if the Hawks can't cross that bar now, I don't know when they're going to, and I certainly think they're going to be feeling that pressure down the stretch of this season.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Portland Trailblazers. And I marvel, like everybody else, at what Damian Lillard has been able to do in the first half of the season with CJ McCollum down for a huge chunk of it, Yusuf Nurkic down for a chunk of it. Damian Lillard has played like an MVP. And I heard his comments over All-Star weekend about his desire to win a championship in Portland. And I find that enviable. But Lillard right now is 30 years old. The window is not closing necessarily, but it's starting to reach that point where you wonder how long he can play at the highest level and how long this group can be contenders. Howard, we've talked in the past about the Blazers potentially breaking things up if things don't go their way. A deep playoff run would ensure that this group would be brought back together. Zach Collins presumably healthy next year. But if they wind up in the playoffs but bowing out in the first round, I would think that would give ownership, GM Neil Olshey, a lot to think about.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have this discussion almost every year, right, with the Blazers. Is this the year that you finally break up Lillard and McCollum? And this year we haven't even been able to see that combination at full strength because McCollum's been out. But I think when CJ is back, with Nurkic back, the Blazers have done such a great job staying competitive because of Dame. They actually, I think, will be well positioned for a deep run, but we know how brutal the Western Conference is. And so, yes, you could see every possible scenario, Chris, a deep run, maybe even making the conference finals. But you could also see this team, if it slips and falls to that lower half of the bracket, you get knocked out in the first round. And I agree. At that point, everything is back on the table.
Yeah, they could wind up like having a great second half and play the Lakers in the first round. I mean, with a healthy Anthony Davis, and that wouldn't be fair for anybody at this point. All right, for more, check us out over at SI.com.